Welcome to the Travel Agency in a Year podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Kay. Thanks for coming on back. If you're brand new, feel free to hit that subscribe button to get daily notifications. Episodes do drop daily over here for at least the first year. It's just 1 year. We are working on another podcast that's going to be more interview style, but this is specifically for travel advisors that are like, I need help understanding how to run a business. And I'm not spending $5,000 giving it to somebody else who, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I need help and I need to understand the concepts of operating a business, not posting something on social media, right? That's what this is for. Although we do talk about marketing a little bit. Today is 168, and it is all about shifting from the time equity to the judge equity mindset, which is super duper important. Okay? Anyone who's self-employed almost always comes from an employer-employee, like you worked for another company at some point. Unless you are like fresh out of college and never had to work, chances are you were an hourly wage-based or salary wage-based employee for somebody at some point in time for the bulk of your career until you started going into travel. I do coach and mentor some advisors who have been self-employed. That's not the norm, okay? In my experience, most people are like, what do you mean I'm in charge of running the show by myself? Okay. And so you go into this with an employee mindset, which means your effort equals value. If I sweat and work hard for 8 hours, then I've earned my money. Doesn't matter if I earned $100 or $100 million. That would be really nice, though. Like you just think, I have to earn my money. Okay? And if you might also think about this, like some people, like in their early childhood, maybe your parents stressed, like you are valuable if you have good grades and if you have perfect attendance and if you do X, Y, and Z. That also kind of like creates this type of mindset. But most likely it's just working a job, working a regular job. So when travel advisors first start out, it takes forever. Your very first trip takes forever to research and prepare the proposal compared to where you will be in like 6 months in, 12 months in, several years in. Those of you listening that have been doing this for like a year plus and you know your niche, you know what you like to sell, you know which brands are best qualified for your general ideal clients, like your general audience clients that you serve, you know? Looking back at your first trip request when you're like, oh, I gotta do all this training. Oh God, this proposal's gotta be perfect. Even if it was like your parents. You're like, ah, we all went through that. It took forever. And now you're like, oh, another trip inquiry. Pay my invoice for my fee. And here's your 3 options. And it takes like 20 minutes for you to close it and get them to deposit. Like we all have that mindset. But here's the issue. When you scale and you still have that time equals equity, like time effort equals value thought pattern in your head, and maybe you're only doing like 1 trip a day, which that's still great. 5 trips, let's say a $500 average commission per trip, that's $2,500 a week. You're not doing terrible. You're doing 100,000 a year. So maybe I need to redo my math. But if you're doing that, like you're doing just fine. But now it only takes you like 15 or 20 minutes to get those throughout the workday. And you don't celebrate that. You don't say, look at all this time I have. I can market and get more leads and I could be booking 2 trips a day and making $1,000 a day in commission. And fees if you have fees, right? And we all know we don't get paid until after everyone travels. I get that. But still, I like to, when I was building up my group travel stuff and I'd book all these rooms and I remember talking to my friends and I'd be like, oh my gosh, if I actually got paid for the rooms I booked today, I made $3,000 today. That's something cool. You know what I mean? No, you don't know. You don't know what I mean? Celebrate that. Like when you get a commission, be like, that was an extra $250. No, I won't see it for 4 months. But if I got it today, I would have made $250 today. Anyway, so instead of being like, woo, I have all this time in my day, I can focus on myself, I can focus on my family, I can focus on generating more business, doing more marketing. There's like a subconscious wave of guilt, especially if you start charging fees out of nowhere and it's like a premium and you're not used to it. And then also collecting a massive commission on a fast booking. Like I will tell you at the end. But it makes you feel kind of like a fraud because it's quote unquote too easy. So then you're like, what else should I do before I send this proposal or whatever? Then you're like, this is going to be a fast $600 commission or $300 commission. I don't know what you sell. This is only going to take me like an hour and I have all my workflows in place. So this is like going to be maybe 90 minutes of my life serving them from start to finish. What if, and this is a big what if, but I still have the rest of my day open. What if I tested out a new proposal software? Or what if I decided to redo my branding before sending this off? Or what if you send it off and then you're like, I think I need to tweak all my workflows. Like this happens. I did it. So many advisors I work with have done it. We're in the process of doing it right now. And the chances are you're going to do this, especially if you have that employee mindset. And why do we do this? Because you got to make sure you earned that money. You got to feel like you earned that money. Okay. What I did when I had like 25 weddings booked, I was like, everything's pretty well streamlined. I think I'm going to completely switch CRMs in the middle of this. Because I'm not good enough, so I better level up my service with a better CRM. Now, I still use that CRM to this day, but it was a poor time to choose to implement it because I was like, I did have people helping me, but I was like, no big deal, everybody. I'll set this all up. And so I would, instead of getting more weddings and booking 50 weddings that year, I was like, nope, gonna tinker with this new CRM for like 2 months or something ridiculous. Because I didn't feel like that I had earned that. When I realized if you just do the math, like 25 weddings, like average-ish $15,000 commission. I mean, I know I was going to do over 300,000 in revenue that next year. And so I was like, better work to earn it, better upgrade my CRM. CRM upgrade did not need to happen. And I chose to do it anyway because I didn't feel like I was worthy because I hadn't put enough time into that amount of money. Because in my head, I was like, you're only worth like $30 an hour, you know? And I was making far more than that, granted, down the road, but I was making far more than that. And you're probably going to run into this too. So let's decouple the labor from the leverage. So time equity is getting paid for your labor hours. Judge equity is getting paid for the speed and accuracy of your decisions. And I'm going to tell you a tale that I know has been told so many different times, at least like when I was in business school stuff, whatever. I've heard this story so many times. Maybe you haven't, but let's talk about it. As an example, CEOs get paid far more than like the sales managers or the employees. And people are like, that's not fair. You can't do that. However, can the lowest position like entry-level sales rep at a massive multi-billion-dollar company, do they have the skills to make judgments quickly to lead everyone beneath them? Like if they were at the top as a CEO, can they judge that quickly? And can they make good judgments? That is why there's such a huge pay grade between CEO and like entry-level positions in a lot of companies. You are paid not for your ability to sit in a desk for 40 hours a week. You are paid for your brain, your ability to judge, your ability to make fast decisions. So when you start freaking out and think you need to completely overhaul your business because you're actually generating decent revenue, you are in the employee mindset and it's time to step into the CEO mindset. Now, we're going to use this story, like I said, the analogy of the master mechanic. So, there's this massive factory and one of their machines goes down. So they're like, we need the best mechanic in town. And he's got a company. This master mechanic has a company. He's got people under him that can do it. But the company is like, no, we need you. And he's like, fine. And it's after hours. And they're like, we need this now. This is going to ruin the economy for the city. No one's going to be able to work. Kind of stressful mentality. And he's like, all right, fine. I'll come out there. And he walks in and he walks up to a valve with his hammer and he goes, couple places, machine springs back to life. And then he hands them an invoice. Because this is an olden days fable. You can pretend it was emailed. If you're like, what do you mean people hand wrote invoices? First line item, tapping with hammer, $1. Second line item, knowing where to tap, $9,999. Total, $10,000. And that's just a mechanic. Like, I know people have judgments about different positions, like even travel advisors are like, oh, that's a fun little project, isn't it? Anyway, no, this is a business, sir or madam. Same thing with a mechanic, same thing with a plumber, same thing with any small business owner. And it sucks getting that from like friends, family, peers. But I want you to think about that story. Tapping with a hammer, $1. Knowing where to tap, $9,999. You are the master mechanic for your agency. Your clients are not paying for your time. They're paying for you to save them time. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. They don't have to do it at all. They're buying your years of mistakes, your industry relationships, supplier relationships, all the ASTA meetings or like conferences you attended to build those relationships, all of the trainings that you've done, all of your experience failing as a travel agent over and over again, because yes, you can still have your doors open and you can still have failures and that's okay. But that's what they're paying for because you've curated a strong sense of judgment. Okay? Just like if you head on over to elevatewithrachelk.com, you can check out the courses. We have live Q&As with every course. And you can listen to all the mistakes I've made because I don't want you to make them. And when you have a mistake and you're like having to come apart because I had this happen in our lives, and people are like, ugh, this happened and my life is over. It's like, no, your life's not over. Here's what I did when it happened to me. And I also was terrified, but just know it's not done. All right. So let's no longer leverage your time and your labor. And let's focus on leveraging access to you. I want you to list out, to get your dang old notebook. I want you to write down, physically write it down. If you are new to this podcast, writing things down commits it better to your memory because not on a tablet, because you are physically writing it down, A. And B, on a piece of paper, you can recall it better because you see where it was on the paper in your memory rather than, like I said, don't use a tablet because tablet's like a never-ending piece of paper. So I'm a huge fan of writing everything down. It's so good for your brain. Write down and physically list out any assets that are not Googleable that you have. Anything. Did you go on a cruise or in my experience, did you stay at an all-inclusive resort once? Maybe it was a fam, maybe it wasn't, or maybe you've been to this resort 3 or 4 times and you know an amazing bartender and you know the head of concierge and you've like friended each other on Facebook and then you like WhatsApp each other and you've like built that relationship. That's a non-Googleable asset. Do you know anyone like that? Have you built that partnership? What problems have you solved with your past quote unquote failures? What problems did you have to solve with your clients when you felt like it was just like the worst experience ever? And you're like, I'm the worst travel agent ever. But now you have a workflow implementation from it to avoid that ever happening again. You have these. These are your non-Googleable assets. Just make your list. And then we're going to talk about the speed. Sorry, I have my notebook down here. If you're like watch on YouTube, I'm trying to make eye contact. It's I'm not very good at it. Anyway, moving on. Your non-Googleable assets. Let's move on to the speed. Your speed is a luxury feature. It is not a shortcut. If you can solve a client's problem in like one text, because you have the right contacts in place, like you know the right people. If you can preemptively provide information before they even think to ask about it, they don't even have any problems. That's a $10,000 service. Easily. Because your clients, as long as they read, your clients don't have to have any questions. When you are closing this, instead of like, here's what I'm going to give you, you could think about shifting to, here's what I'm going to protect you from. So what I would do back when I've shifted out, I did destination weddings. I did a ton of destination weddings. I'm no longer in that niche. I'm pivoting elsewhere, but I'm still doing groups. Okay. But when I would do destination weddings, I would not mention, here's what you get with me on the sales call. I would always talk about, and I do this with I just signed on like a little birthday group. I had no idea about my group travel process, but I was like, here's what I'm going to prevent from happening to you. I will take care of this. I will make sure things don't get screwed up with the room blocks. I will make sure any events that you're entitled to per your concessions, boom, it's all done. I will arrange everyone's transfers. I will make sure everyone has their transfers arranged. And they were like, this is freaking awesome. And I was like, yeah, because I'm protecting the group host from having to worry about all of that. And they were like, oh, you just solved all my problems. Because it's like a small birthday group. It's like maybe 8 or 9 rooms. It's like a nothing burger for me. But I would do the same thing with weddings, with destination weddings. I'd be like, hey, I would review all the budget summaries the day of whatever event coordinators and the wedding team send to you and make sure it's accurate. And I would be there to negotiate where I can. Sometimes you can't, but sometimes you can. So that protects them from spending too much money on their budget, right? With their ceremony and events. I will be the one making sure everyone's aware of how to book and to book into the room block. And anyone that's booked into the room block, they're going to get, if you have 2 entrees, they're going to get the meal selection form. I will handle the transportation, blah, 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 like I did with the birthday group. But to protect the wedding couple, like, I'm going to help you make sure you don't go crazy over budget. I can't guarantee it because prices change, right? I'm going to make sure you can get as close to your original budget as possible. And to this day, because I have been wrapping up my weddings, for the events budgets, I have never gone over anyone's initial budget. Sometimes it's like within 12 cents of the initial estimate that I provide, that's within their original budget. But anyway, I'll make sure you don't get hosed. I'll make sure vendors, offsite vendors, or their preferred vendors that sign separate contracts, you don't get hosed by them. I'm going to make sure the day of timeline fits the photos that you want captured. And I will share that with the photographer so that they're fully aware of how you want this to look. And when I do the day of timeline, I look up the golden hour sunset time and I'm like, here it is. And it's this far into your reception. How do you want this grand entrance to look? And then I send that off to the coordinators. But then I also do all the group travel management this is what I'm protecting you from. People being confused, people booking outside of the block, you losing your concessions, you getting hosed by an event coordinator because they've padded their commission a little bit and like fudge the numbers here and there. Because I've seen that so many times on those budget summaries. And that's how you close it. That's how you close it, to charge a premium fee and have premium clientele. Not, I'm going to give you a packing list. That's just basics. Okay. It's not, I'm going to give you a packing list. I'm going to give you a list of all the restaurants on site. I'm going to give you a list of all the activities on site. That is not protecting them from anything. That's overwhelming them with more information. But it's also helpful information, and it is important to have. But that should be like the base level of service. Okay? When you want to step into that premium mindset and know that it's your judgment and your speed and your accuracy for decision making, shift to, here's how I protect you from this going to absolute shit. Instead of, here's what I'll give you. Like, here's how I'll protect you. Here's how I'm going to help you with your flights. Here's how I'm going to help you with your pre and post stay. You need your pre and post stay for a cruise so you don't miss your flights and you don't miss getting on the cruise ship. I will protect you from this. I will make sure that it's not some janky Airbnb that has banquet tables from Sam's Club with a comforter over it, calling it a bed. Okay? So, the next time you're closing, like a 5-figure or a group booking, like a 5-figure commission or group booking, and you can do it in like 30 minutes, and you already have in your head, I know exactly what I'm going to offer them, and you already have everything already automated for the most part, where it's just like send a few emails and back to the wedding experience, but they're going to book this exact resort. They're going to spend this much money on the events. You're going to get commission on the events and all the add-ons with this property. And that this is going to be a 30-room block. So you just made about $20,000 in a 30-minute phone call. Don't ever apologize. Don't try to find any extra busy work, especially if they've paid you a fee. Don't try to do anything extra to justify it. Sit in the reality that you have scaled successfully your judgment, speed, and accuracy, and you're leveraging that now in your business instead of your time. Okay? So, your challenge for today is audit your current average commission, your fee structure, whatevs, both. And then find where you are capping your price based on how many hours you think it will take you. Because honestly, and I have a whole lead magnet on how to calculate your hourly rate and what the minimum should be. and not what you think it should be, and you go no lower than that, okay? So you need to find, maybe there's an area where you're capping, like your fees are super low. Like you're like, I charge $25 per person for a fee. Like, why are you even charging that fee? Like, charge more, please. Don't worry, I did that. When I first started charging fees, I was like, 25 bucks? Because in my brain, I was like, I don't know, $5 an hour is worth it. Because that was pretty, anyway, we're not going to talk about that. But don't calculate any fees based on how many hours, quote unquote, it should take you. The price is based on the value of the outcome you deliver to your clients. Okay? Okay. All right. That was day 168 of the Travel Agency in a Year podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you know someone that keeps calling you up, that's maybe a colleague in the industry, and they're like, well, I'm going to do this now. Well, I'm going to tweak this in my workflow. Ask them, how's business going? And if they're like, oh, it's great, I'm getting like 5 bookings a week. Well, if you just left stuff alone, you could get 10, 15, 20 bookings a week. Here's a podcast episode about it. All right. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.